The problem is this: you start to see something. It's that yes, you've been blinded.
Yes.
If you go to another place and you didn't have access to the luxuries that you had here, your life would change quick.
Yes.
You go to a place where they don't have all this electronics, you don't have access to doctors, you're going to see a change in someone's faith because they can't go to the doctor. They've got to rely on the Lord.
That's right.
And so it's a wake-up call for people where we become so complacent that we lose sight of truth.
Yes.
And so what ends up happening? You got to lose stuff. Isn't that funny?
You
We
get
learn
stripped.
from
You
get stripped.
stripped.
It's like a child who's not paying attention.
Yes.
Do you want to lose all
All
your
your
toys
toys, yes.
or one toy?
That's right.
The moment you start recognizing
Yes.
that, you go, wait a minute, I can make a change voluntarily.
Yes.
Now you
Yes.
got it. So moving on to this project that
Yes.
we're currently doing here and then moving it forward.
Yes.
Where do you see the project going from what we've been shown?
Okay. Well, what I've been told, and which seems to already be coming to pass, not only the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, India, Dubai, which I'll be going off to Dubai in a few weeks. You know, those are the main ones that have been popped up, and things have already been, as you know, connecting to
Yes.
those places. Also on a speaking tour with my ladies in Australia. It's everything is connecting to all those pieces, and and South America. So in its growth, in its movement, for me, my mind went, okay, well, we might have to do this first. No, we're going to Philippines in July.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
And I'm like, we haven't built a home yet. That was not the point. The point was going through understanding what we're building. And he's taking it where it's needed first.
Yes.
And that's another thing. If we aren't paying attention to God, He will never forsake us. He will never leave us. But He's going to go where
Yeah.
it's moving.
Yeah. He's not going to, he'll never force himself.
never
He knocks at the door,
never.
but it's up to us to let him in. And that's
Yes.
the thing. It's that, we have a choice every day we get up.
Every
When
day.
he lets us get up, we're
Yes.
woken up of who we're going to serve. If you're feeding your flesh, people say, well, how do you hear his voice? Because you stop feeding your flesh. Jesus said, die to your flesh. It wasn't a suggestion.
Right.
and so if you're feeding all the nonsense of the world, why would you hear spiritual things?
Right.
As you start to get away from the stuff that's been a distraction, you will hear his voice clearly, and life will make a lot more sense. And so things like this, to some people, they think it's fantasy land until you see the stuff unfolding and you go, well, I can't explain this. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Hinalaban Foundation.
Yes.
In the Philippines that are doing great
Philippines,
things.
yes.
He's connected us together where they're doing great things in the rainforest of helping the indigenous cultures take back the land
Yes.
that was taken from them. And so they're teaching them, number one, not only housing them, teaching them how to become self-sustaining.
Yes.
We're noticing a theme
Theme,
that in
a
different
theme,
places that we're
yes.
reaching out to all over the world.
Africa too. The same thing. Taking back the land.
And it's funny because when people are working together, what's happening, stuff's getting done.
Yes.
I'll tell you right now, the tiny home thing was such a straightforward idea. And I go, for the cost of a tiny home community, it's less than a low-income house. I'm going to
Yes.
repeat that.
Yes.
I didn't say a house. A tiny home community
Yes.
would be less than the cost of a house. And people say, well, why hasn't anyone done this? Well, I'll let you figure that out because there are solutions to these problems
Yes.
that we have or that we're convinced are problems that are unsolvable. They're definitively solvable.
Yes.
The thing is this, people have to step up and shake off this nonsense and say, wait a minute, there's things that we can do.
Yes.
But you have to be involved.
Yes.
Because if you don't say yes, someone else surely will. All you have to say is, here I am, Lord, what am I supposed to do? And that's the other thing I was going to say. How can people get involved? And I know there's multiple ways because not everyone can travel. They're not in that
Right.
position to do that yet. That might not be what they're called for. What are some options they have and how they can get involved in this project?
You have, as I call it, the shared network. If you have connections, you can let us know. We have website, dreaminmotion.us. That's not .com, that's .us. You can also make donations. We do have a Indiegogo and a crowd and a GoFundMe going on right now campaign. You can also go to that. It's under the Homeless Living Initiative, and you can make donations in small. You don't, if somebody can't do anything big, that's fine. Every little bit counts, to anything that we can do to move it forward. Also, if you are in construction, if you have land, if you have, I did say connections. So if you have those things, you can share with us within the network in order to make this happen. So all of those things, and also your prayers, because we are going to need that as we keep moving. So building that faith network as we can strengthen ourselves and also unify more of us around the world, it'll make it a lot easier. It will serve the purpose that God has put in front of us in order to serve the world in what we're doing. Because it's going to branch out more than that. It's going to be much more than just the tiny home communities. It's going to be education. It's going to be ministry. It's going to be health and fitness. It's going to be a lot of things that we and somewhat take for granted, where it will become a necessity to your life, because there are things that are coming, and I'm not sure if you really understand it, that is going to kind of knock us back a moment. And unless you're on the other end of it, you won't be affected as much. But as all of you, we're all sisters and brothers, we're all affected one way or another. But if you're in it, you might be in for a kind of rude awakening.
And my sister is stating very clearly a message that I was given, and to have a message you have to be qualified to carry it. And so I'll give you the message first, is that there will be a test that comes on this world where a person will be 100% in the Lord or 100% in the world, because there's no kind of lukewarm. I know I've read that somewhere. Yes. It's hot and cold. And so it gives a point we have today to really reflect on where we're at with him and say, you know what, I can make the change. Don't ever think it's too late or stuff is too far gone. But again, correction surely comes to get our attention. He's a good father. And that's something we have to understand. He came here to save your soul, not your stuff. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you've got to lose everything you have to find the Lord, you will surely lose everything that you have. We do this for no money. Right. These communities, we're 100% willing to share with everyone around the world. Not yes. just around the country. So yes. if you're local, you can always we can contact us wherever you're at around the world, because we'll freely share the blueprints and yes. how to do this and kind of give yes. you a startup. If this is something that's been put on your heart to do this, we have to work together, because yes. all of us serves a purpose and we all have different gifts. So whatever you can contribute, even your talent, your time, promoting yes. this stuff yes. will go a long way, because these can come up in every single state. Like I said, I got involved in this. I don't know the first thing about building a community or building houses. That's funny. But I realize who's in control. I'm not. And don't let people get in the way saying, well, surely this isn't going to happen. I go, well, you can take it up with him, because exactly. that's why it's happening. That's why these things are moving forward. Yes. It's not because I'm smart.
Nope.
And so with the further into this project, but even if housing is not what's on your heart, get involved in your community with, yes. with what you've been called to do. And if you're not sure, keep praying. You'll get something. You know, you were given gifts for a reason. You didn't give yourself a gift. When you use your gift to glorify God, your life will make sense. Yes. The world's taught you to use your gift to glorify yourself. You didn't earn your gift. Once you start realizing these things, you go, wait a minute, I can use this gift. Yes. Whether it could be song, yes. speaking,
clothing,
music,
yes.
any of it.
Any of it, yes.
These gifts are meant to help others.
Yes.
And when you use it in that way, you're going to notice a shift in your life, because yes. you won't be focused on money, mammon, stuff like that. Because again, that's a tool.
Yes.
Right now, everyone
yes.
worries about, well, I would do this, but.
Yes.
And I'll tell you one thing, right now you have a digital currency.
Right.
It's just saying, it's a tool.
Is it? Yes.
When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, life will make sense. And I'll tell you right now, if you think money is fulfilling the purpose, some of the most unhappy people I've ever met had the most money.
A lot of money.
Because there's a void. Yes. And you've traveled a lot. You've
yes.
met a lot of people.
Yes.
And they're like, what's this? Cars aren't filling it. Houses aren't filling it. Clothing's not. I mean, how many shoes can you buy?
Right.
And it's interesting, because what happens is that effect, that dopamine effect that everyone's so hooked on, it's a drug.
Yes.
And what happens is you get this high, and then it goes away. I got to buy more shoes.
Yes.
One of the problems, and I know this is spread because we've traveled a bit, is materialism. It's the convincing of people that your purpose here is to buy stuff.
Right.
And when you're unhappy, keep on shopping and buying more
right.
stuff. But there gets to be a point when you get sick. When someone else gets sick, you see just how little money does.
Yes.
And so a lot of times I often tell people, I go, look at your life. You might not understand God's process, but you will see his fingerprints all over it.
Yes.
And then it will explain more stuff, and you go, wait a minute, now I can make a change. when we weren't paying attention, he was still watching us. So now that you're paying attention, how much more now?
Yes.
What other projects do the kids have coming up?
What do we have coming up? Besides Dubai, that's probably the biggest one. The fashion designers definitely have a lot of other stuff going on right now. Let's get back to Alex. He has another big important meeting this Monday that literally will jumpstart everything.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, will jumpstart everything. With hopefully getting into finishing the pre-planning portion of it, which is your designs, excavation, environment, the lot, the grounds, all of
gotcha.
those things, before we get even into permits. Of course, that's the second phase. So this is a big meeting Monday coming for that, which I can't wait, because with all of those things, we will literally have the blueprint of what to do around the world.
I love it.
So that has just been amazing, and with our other young entrepreneurs, we are working on what do they call it? They have a board game that they made called Build Your Business, and it's going to be the first live play game. You have to play it live. It's not played in a boardroom type of thing. It's literally you have to go and do the thing. So you see what we're doing here. They want you to actually get up and go and do it. So the game becomes almost literally like a game of life, because now you are doing it, but you're following the parts in the game.
Wow.
So what you're learning, you're applying, and you keep learning, and it keeps going, and you need others to play with you. And eventually, Alex is going to code the game into an app.
That's great.
So it can happen in the network all over the world. So that's the one that we're also in the middle of doing, and all of his 5 pillars, which is mostly our kids, the principal 4, that's what we call them. They've worked on this based upon what they've learned to be able to share and teach the others. So that, I can't wait for that, because that's going to go in when we get the app for it to reaching all the others that'll be in, want to become a part of what we do, and in Dream in Motion, other the kids and education, they'll be able to click on the app and find whatever they need at any time.
How can people get a hold of Dream in Motion?
Dream in Motion, we go to dreaminmotion.us, www.dreaminmotion.us. We're also on Instagram under Dream in Motion US. Facebook, same thing, Dream in Motion US. We did that on purpose. You get that? Okay. So
I love it.
that's the easiest way to find us or contact us. Also, email is info@dreaminmotion.us. That's info@dreaminmotion.us.
Before I let you go, Maria, were there any questions? Do we have any questions from the audience? Maybe? No? No questions? Okay. Anything else that you want to leave our audience with before I let you get out of here?
Before we get out of here, I think one of the main things I want to talk about, especially when it comes to Dream in Motion and what we do with our kids, you have to remember also with yourself, we be adults, but we're also big kids. So try not to take life so seriously where you feel like you have to control everything, and be like God says, be like little children and come to Him. It's really that simple, that easy. It just giving you up because it's tiring, and we get it wrong most of the time. And just come to Him, and it's very easy. It happens just that quickly. So be able to shed yourself and be able to be humble enough to understand you don't know all the answers, but go to Him, and He makes it very plain. And also, don't be so quick to do things. Me and Lance we talk about this all the time. We're really impatient, so we're really learning patience. And wait for Him to give the answers, because He knows best. And sometimes sit back, because you're going to need the rest. Because when He starts moving, you're going to have to move. Yep. So take that time and understand that somebody understands and loves you more than you, actually, and will give up anything for you. So make sure that you take that time and really give him what he deserves.
He literally moved heaven and earth for us.
Yes.
And the interesting thing, that's a good point you make, is that I know I'm guilty of this quite often, is that we'll get step 1.
Yes.
And myself personally, I go, oh, I got it. I'll go to step 5. And he goes, no, you got step 1. I've gotten many bumps on my head for that reason. And I finally learned, I'm going to wait on you, Lord.
Yes.
Because my way is just not working at all. So patience is a big thing. And again, a lot of the viewers out there are going through a process. You're not alone. You're not going crazy.
No.
It's normalcy that's actually happening around us. But there's a reason you've lost interest in certain things of the world. There's like a purging that's happening. You're not suffering depression. It's a good thing. So again, don't feel bad if you're like, well, I used to do this stuff, but I'm kind of getting more back into prayer and getting into the Word, and there's a reason that's happening. So just keep on pursuing Him each day.
Yes.
He's never going to leave or forsake you. Like I said, things might look different in the world, but again, it's for our benefit. We have a good Father. Thank you again so much for stopping by today. You are a blessing.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It's always fun.
We're going to see you next week. Next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Saved by Grace. You can contact Rochelle Baltimore at Dream in Motion. God bless. We'll see you next time.